Daniel needs this more than you do, Emma, my mother said, her tone laced with that all-too-familiar condescension. You understand, don't you? He's had such a hard life before joining our family. I stood frozen in the living room, staring at the document they just handed me. The full inheritance from Grandma Rose's estate, signed over entirely to my adopted brother Daniel. Her Victorian mansion. Her savings. Everything. Besides, my father mumbled from behind his newspaper, you've got your teaching job. Daniel's still figuring things out. I was 29, and I'd spent most of my life hearing the same excuses. Daniel came into our family when he was 10 and I was 12. From the start, it was all about making him feel safe and special. Every resource, every decision, every ounce of attention had gone to him. I was the shadow they left behind. Did you even read Grandma Rose's will? I asked, my voice calm though my chest felt tight. She was clear about her wishes. My mother waved a dismissive hand. Your grandmother would have understood. She always put family first. Family first. The words rang in my ears, cold and bitter. Grandma Rose had put family first, but not in the way my parents meant. To her, family wasn't just about blood or paper. It was about connection, about legacy, about seeing the person standing quietly in the background. I thought of those long afternoons with her in the garden, learning each plant by name, understanding the soil, the land, the hidden corners of that old Victorian house. Daniel had never cared. He was inside with video games while my parents clapped at every small accomplishment. Well, I said, folding the legal document carefully and placing it on the coffee table. I hope you thought this through. My mother's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I replied, picking up my bag. I've got papers to grade. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Hey sis, heard about the inheritance. No hard feelings, right? I've always loved that house. Loved the house. He'd visited maybe 3 times in the last 5 years, and never stayed more than an hour. He didn't know about the hidden door in the library, the secret reading nook, or the ancient oak tree in the back garden etched with generations of our family's history. But I did. And I had something they didn't know about. 3 days before she died, Grandma Rose had called me to her bedside. With surprising strength, she'd placed a sealed envelope in my hands. Don't open this until they read the will, she whispered, eyes sharp. Promise me. Promise. That envelope had stayed tucked in my journal ever since. That night, in my tiny apartment, I finally broke the seal. Inside was a handwritten letter and a small antique key I recognized from her jewelry box. My dearest Emma, it began. If you're reading this, then things have happened just as I feared. Your parents have again confused inheritance with charity. My hands trembled as I read. This key opens more than a drawer. It unlocks the truth about our family's real legacy, one that cannot be gifted to someone who never cared to learn its worth. You, my Emma, are the one who listened, learned, and loved this land as I did. What waits for you in the oak's heart will show that some things can't be signed away. I held the key up to the light. Saturday was tomorrow. No classes, no excuses. I'd go before my parents or Daniel decided to start making changes. Grandma always said timing was everything. The next morning I arrived just after sunrise. The mansion rose like a memory, faded yet strong, the stories still etched in its wood and stone. I parked at the far end of the driveway, out of sight, and slipped through the garden gate with practiced ease. The damp earth welcomed me home. I moved quickly toward the ancient oak tree, its massive trunk covered in initials, notches, and secret carvings. What are you trying to tell me, Grandma? I whispered, running my fingers along the bark. Then my phone buzzed again. It was from Daniel. Hey, bringing some contractors by the house today. Thinking of modernizing a bit. That old wallpaper's gotta go. My heart clenched. The wallpaper he so casually dismissed wasn't just decoration. It was hand-painted, imported from France by our great-great-grandmother. Each panel told part of our family's story, if you knew how to read it. But I couldn't let myself get distracted. had a purpose. Circling the oak tree, I replayed Grandma Rose's stories in my mind. This tree had weathered storms, lightning strikes, and even attempts to cut it down. The oak protects its own, she used to say with that knowing smile. Then I saw it. A section of bark that didn't match the rest. Subtle, almost invisible, unless you knew exactly what to look for. Near the base, hidden beneath a cluster of ferns Grandma had planted herself, was a small metal plate, green with age. My hands trembled as I brushed the ferns aside. In the center of the plate was a keyhole, the exact size of the antique key that now hung around my neck. Another text buzzed. Mom and Dad are coming too. Dad's talking about turning the library into a home theater. Cool, right? I ignored it. Instead, I slid the key into the lock. It turned with a soft, satisfying click. The metal plate swung open like a tiny door, revealing a hollow carved into the heart of the ancient oak. Inside were two items, a leather-bound journal and a small wooden box. I sat at the base of the tree, right where Grandma Rose used to tell me stories on warm summer afternoons, and opened the journal. Her handwriting greeted me on the first page. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, then you've once again proven that you're the true keeper of our family's legacy. What I'm about to share has passed through generations, not to the loudest or the most entitled, but to the one who listens, who remembers, who protects. Tears welled up in my eyes as I turned the pages. It wasn't just a journal. It was a history, a map, and a trust. I opened the wooden box next. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, lay an old signet ring engraved with our family crest. I remembered Grandma Rose wearing it on special occasions but never knew its purpose. Now I did. The journal explained. The ring wasn't merely symbolic. It was proof of lineage and ownership. It unlocked something my parents and Daniel didn't even know existed. Deed to a property hidden in the mountains. Sanctuary. A piece of land protected by generations, untouched by greed, safe under arcane family trusts and legal protections tied to the ring itself. This place wasn't just real estate. It was sacred. While others squabble over mansions and money, Grandma had written, the true heir guards what matters. Knowledge. Or truth. Our soul. My phone buzzed again. Photo. Daniel, my parents, and a smiling contractor stood in front of the mansion. Starting renovations next week. Let them paint over the past, install surround sound in the library, rip out the garden to make room for a hot tub. Let them believe they had won. I slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, as if it had been waiting for me all along. The morning sun caught the crest, casting a glint across the garden. They could keep the house. I had inherited something far more precious. I carefully closed the compartment in the oak tree, tucking the journal and box into my bag. It was time to go. The drive to the mountains took 2 hours, following Grandma Rose's handwritten directions. What I found took my breath away. Tucked deep in a hidden valley was a stone cottage, weathered by time but lovingly maintained. Towering pine trees surrounded it like guardians. A clear mountain stream wove through the land, its soft murmur a song older than memory. Using the ring as a key, just as the journal instructed, I unlocked the cottage door. The scent of cedar greeted me. Inside, the space was simple but elegant. Hand-carved furniture, shelves lined with leather-bound books, and windows that framed the forest like portraits, felt timeless, sacred. The journal had mentioned caretakers, distant relatives and trusted friends who had tended to the place over the years. A network Grandma had quietly built to preserve this sanctuary. This was what she had truly left me. Not just a place. Purpose. A living legacy. I stood at the center of the room, the ring warm against my skin, the journal heavy in my hands, and knew I wasn't just an heir. I was the keeper of the truth. As I explored the cottage, my phone kept buzzing with updates from home. Daniel had already begun demolition on the mansion's library. Mom sent photos of workers stripping away the antique wallpaper. Dad proudly described their plans for an open-concept redesign. Found some old books and papers in the attic, Daniel texted. Probably junk. Letting the contractors toss it. I smiled softly, fingers gliding along the true treasure trove of family records, documents, journals, heirlooms, carefully preserved here in the cottage study. Over the years, Grandma Rose had quietly moved everything that mattered out of the mansion, leaving only the surface behind. The afternoon sun poured through the windows as I curled into a window seat that reminded me of childhood afternoons spent reading beside her. I turned to the final pages of her journal, ones I hadn't yet had time to read. "Emma, my darling girl," she'd written. "By now, you've found our family's true sanctuary. But there's one more thing you must know. Our strength has never come from shutting others out, but from recognizing the souls that truly belong and nurturing them." I had barely finished reading when I heard a car approaching. The sound was foreign in this secluded place. Through the window, I saw my parents' car pulling up. My heart raced, but then I remembered Grandma's words about strength and took a deep breath. They stepped out slowly, uncertain, subdued. Daniel followed behind, looking more lost than confident for the first time in years. I met them on the porch. "How did you find me?" I asked. "Grandma Rose's lawyer contacted us this morning," my mother said quietly. "He told us about the ring. This property. The truth about her legacy." I paused. "Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened?" I replied gently. My father looked down at his shoes. "We found the letters she left in her desk. Letters about you, about the time you spent with her, what you learned, what you valued. We didn't see it before." "I didn't either," Daniel added, stepping closer. "I saw the mansion as a prize. Something to prove I'd finally made it. But reading her letters, I realized I nearly destroyed something sacred. I'm sorry, Emma. I studied their faces and saw something I hadn't seen in a long time, regret. And maybe, finally, understanding. We've cancelled the renovations," my mother said. "The contractors are gone. We understand now it's not just a house. It's our family's story. And you're the one who knows how to tell it." I touched the ring at my finger. Grandma Rose knew exactly what she was doing. This place, the mansion. It's not about ownership. It's about stewardship, about honoring the legacy we've been given. Daniel looked at me, uncertain but sincere. "Will you teach me about the family history, the stories, everything Grandma taught you? I want to learn, for real this time." I thought of Grandma's words again, about strength coming from inclusion, not exclusion. "Yes," I said. "I'd like that." We spent the rest of the afternoon inside the cottage. I read from Grandma's journal as my parents and Daniel listened closely. Stories of ancestors, the land, the values that had quietly shaped our family for generations. As the sun dipped low behind the pines, casting golden shadows through the windows, my mother reached for my hand. "The mansion is yours," she said. "It should have been all along. We'll make it official tomorrow." I shook my head. "No, the mansion belongs to all of us. But this time we'll honor its past while building something new, together." Daniel smiled, holding up an old family photograph he'd found in one of the cottage's albums. "Think you could finally tell me the story behind that wallpaper everyone keeps talking about?" I laughed. Looking at them, at my family, gathered not in conflict but in unity, I felt Grandma Rose's presence like a warm breeze. She'd known that the greatest inheritance isn't wealth or property. It's understanding, the kind that brings people back to themselves, and to each other. I stood and smiled. "Let's start with the story of how our great-great-grandmother smuggled that wallpaper out of France during a revolution. It's quite the tale." And in that moment, as we settled in to share, to listen, to remember, I knew this was the real legacy Grandma Rose had left behind. A legacy of love, of truth, of finally coming home.